That's the braking system taking control and then controlling the speed. It's either going, it's kind of like cruise control for off-road. Hey guys, it's Tool Talk. How many times have you heard about the descent button, or what does this button do? This button is actually how you do a controlled descent or ascent in your four-wheel low transfer case. Very, very neat feature, very new feature, and it's all electronically operated. It uses your brakes and your throttle to maintain a certain crawl speed. Let me show you how this works, because you're gonna love it. All right, so I wanted to do a video on the automatic transmission. You have the manual mode. So if I hit the brake here, go into drive, I show D1. And first, let me show you real quick how to get the number up here to show your transmission. So you'll use the keypad, and you'll move down to your options window, screen setup, press OK to screen setup. So we're going to go down to current gear. Click current gear, and you're just going to select on. Then once you select on, settings saved, you'll get this pop up. So it was already on. Then we'll go back out of the manual mode, so we're just going to use the left key, the left arrow, and then go back up to the settings that I normally keep it on for TPMS sensors. So once that's set up, you can see what gear you're in. If you're going downhill and you're seeing that your truck is uncontrolled in the descent, you will have to use your brake if you're not going to go into manual mode. But let me cover that first. What we'll do is we'll send this over to manual. Put your truck into manual mode, you'll get M, and it'll stay in the manual mode as you go down the hill. If you want a higher gear, you just pop it back. It'll go a little faster for you. And if you want to slow it down and not use your brake so much, gear down, back to M3, and the engine will take over the drivetrain rather than your brake. So your engine will be used as a kind of a rotating brake, if you will. As the cylinders have the fuel cut because you're not on the gas, the engine will just be pumping air. So it uses that air as a cushion to bring you down. And then when you're done, go back to drive, transmission goes back into the gear it thinks is best, and you're done. So as you can see, as we went downhill in manual mode, you just come back out of it and then you'll be in drive. So to use the hill descent feature and to not just manually shift your transmission, you'll need to go into 4 high. So on this, it's just straight back. So I'm gonna put it in neutral, kind of assisting that a little bit. Let off the brake a little bit. There we go. So we'll verify that up here. We're in 4 high. And this also is easier when you're going down the road. This has a synchronizer gear in the 4 high. So if you're doing up to 55 miles an hour, then you can stick this in at any point to 4 high for snow and mud and off-road conditions if you're driving at any given speed. What this also does is that it 4 high doesn't just move the transfer case, which is under the floorboard here. It also connects the front axle, and let me show you that. So from the passenger side, you can see this is the disconnect that's on the passenger side of the axle. That system will engage when you go into 4-wheel high or 4-wheel low. That then locks in there's a sleeve in there, and it locks the axle together, and then your entire front axle then becomes one solid piece. All right, so now you know how the axle works in the front, and we're in 4 high. So the transmission's locked in, the front axle is now no longer free movement, but it's locked in with a sleeve, and the shaft then becomes one piece. Then as you go down the road, if you select to enter, select speed shift to 4 low. So in order to use, you'll have to go over 1. We'll go back into neutral. This is a little bit of manhandling here, but I'm gonna let the truck move a little bit. That didn't take too much. That worked pretty good. So your control is turned off. Also on the indicator here. You are in 4 low. And then if you want to use hill descent, we turn hill descent on, select speed on upshift or downshift. So we'll come over to truck kind of wants to pull. You can see it no longer says M1 or M2, it just says 1. And if we upshift, it says 2, 3, 4. I now have a crawl mode, and I can crawl my truck at an incredible low speed. So this, we're gonna go back over to 1. Truck is now in the lowest gearing. On the automatic transmission, it's geared lower than any other Jeep before this, with the 272 in the Sport, or the 4.1, the 4-to-1 in the Rubicon. Your truck can crawl at incredibly low speed. So all I'm gonna do is let off the brake. The truck now has you can hill descent or you can ascent. This is actually both ways. It's not just downhill, it's also the crawl mode. And so if I just let off the brake, so the truck, you'll hear that clunking noise. That's the braking system taking control and then controlling the speed. It's either going, it's kind of like cruise control for off-road. And so that is how you set that up. So we're gonna shut that off. So I'm gonna push this button. All right, we're back to M1, so the crawl mode's off and the hill descent. And we're in 4 low still. So we're gonna go, and also manual, so we're gonna go over to drive. So now we got our gears back. It says it's in 2nd gear, but when I go into the transfer case and go back out, let's see, go back out to neutral. So that would be like if you're flat toeing it. I'm in 4 high, traction control comes back on, and I'm also now in 2 high in neutral, which if I was go drive, this is how you would drive your truck you know, every day. So we'll go back to park. I got my hill descent off. I'm out of 4-wheel drive. And if you just follow those few steps there, you'll see that your truck now has this incredible control feature. This is greater than any other control feature that I've ever had on a Jeep. I've owned 2 Rubicons and 2 TJs and now this Gladiator. And these are all standard features on the Sport and on the Rubicon. The Rubicon just includes a lower gearing for this. The transfer cases are both the stronger transfer cases, so you're not necessarily getting a lot of upgrades. So that's why I always recommend guys to get the Sport, because the gearing is so low in the 8-speed that with the added 272, a lot of people are finding that it doesn't need that to be any slower. It's already gonna crawl at a incredibly slow speed. And so doing all of that and just having these features in a Sport, and this is a Sport S, just the only difference is we have power windows and power locks rather than manuals. And the Sport S comes with just everything you need. Dana 44s front and rear. I went ahead and added air lockers and heavy duty shafts for 35 splines that are much larger than the stock shafts even in a Rubicon. And so the Sport is all you need really if you want to start building your Jeep. But that kind of sums it up. That's about the end of how to do the hill descent. A lot of people call it the hill descent, but this is actually a crawl mode. And this allows you to, once you switch into this, it turns this manual mode from M to just 1. And it'll say 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's actually using your brakes and your engine speed to control the speed. So it's a very smart system. It's all electronically operated. It's kind of like the Jeep has a mind of its own and will maintain a certain speed that you set based on what that indicator says. So that's it. That about wraps it up. I hope you guys like this. Please click like and subscribe, and I will geek out again for you guys and bring you another video. Thanks.